Venturing into the philosophical landscape sculpted by Friedrich Nietzsche is akin to embarking on an odyssey through uncharted territories where the very ground beneath one's feet is in constant flux. Nietzsche doesn't just invite, but compels us to interrogate the foundational assumptions of our existence, challenging us to scrutinize the bedrock of values upon which our lives are constructed. His critique of conventional morality is not merely a scholarly exercise. It is a call for a radical reevaluation of the norms that have long governed human conduct and thought. Nietzsche's philosophy does not serve as a map with predetermined routes and destinations. Instead, it offers a compass crafted from a set of principles designed to orient those brave souls who are ready to dismantle their preconceptions and embark on a quest for personal metamorphosis. He posits that the journey to self-empowerment and enlightenment is not linear, but a spiraling ascent, where each loop challenges us to confront and transcend our previous limitations. Nietzsche is akin to a ship's captain who, rather than steering directly towards a specific harbor, encourages us to navigate by the stars of our own questioning and doubt. He teaches us that the waters of conventional morality, once navigable and reassuring in their familiarity, have become treacherous and shallow, requiring a new course to be charted towards individual empowerment. His work eschews the notion of a one-size-fits-all guide to living, proposing instead a toolkit for constructing a life that is not just endured, but passionately embraced and creatively authored. Nietzsche's philosophy asks us to become the sculptors of our own existence, chiseling away the superfluous and the imposed to reveal the form of our most authentic selves beneath. Through Nietzsche's eyes, we are not mere passengers on the journey of life, passively observing the world as it unfolds before us. Instead, we are called to be the cartographers of our own destiny, drawing maps that reflect not the world as it is, but as it could be through the transformative power of our will. Thus, engaging with Nietzsche's thought is to accept an invitation to a voyage that has no final destination, for it is in the journey itself, the relentless questioning, the striving for excellence, the rebellion against the mediocrity of the herd, that we find the essence of life. It is a philosophical call to arms, urging us not to accept the world at face value, but to forge our own paths, illuminated by the beacon of our individual will and creativity. Within Nietzsche's philosophy lies a profound challenge, not merely to observe the world, but to engage with it deeply and rebelliously. He beckons us to the edge of a precipice, where the familiar landscapes of societal norms dissolve into the mists of question and critique. Here, Nietzsche invites us not to recoil, but to leap into the unknown, forging a path that is authentically our own. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It is a call to those bold enough to question the comfortable illusions that society offers as truth. Nietzsche sees the malaise of nihilism, the sense that life is devoid of inherent meaning, as a shadow cast by the fading light of religious and metaphysical beliefs. In the vacuum left by their decline, he does not despair, but sees an unparalleled opportunity for creativity and self-definition. He urges us to become like artists standing before a blank canvas, not paralyzed by its emptiness, but inspired by the limitless possibilities it represents. In this metaphorical landscape, the creation of personal values is not a passive act of selection, but an active engagement with the very essence of life. It is as if each individual is tasked with crafting their own compass, calibrated not to societal expectations, but to the true north of their deepest desires and passions. Nietzsche's philosophy does not merely suggest a tinkering at the edges of our value systems, but calls for a radical overhaul, encouraging a leap from the solid ground of conventional morality into the swirling currents of personal conviction and creativity. This leap is not into nihilism, but over it, transcending the abyss to land on the solid ground of self-authored values and meanings. The task Nietzsche sets before us is monumental. It is nothing less than the reclamation of our lives from the specter of meaninglessness. It demands not just the courage to question, but the courage to love our fate, amor fati, embracing even the most daunting aspects of existence with passion and resilience. In doing so, we are not simply resisting the tide of nihilism, but actively shaping the rivers of our lives, redirecting their flow towards horizons of our own making. Thus, engaging with Nietzsche's thought becomes an act of radical self-empowerment, a declaration of independence from the dictates of a disenchanted world. It is a philosophical adventure that beckons each of us to become the hero of our own story, navigating by the stars of our most authentic desires in the quest for a life that resonates with purpose, passion, and personal truth. In Nietzsche's body of work, the concept of the will to power plays a crescendo, a motif that resonates through the complexity of his thoughts with clarity and force. This concept, often misunderstood, transcends the vulgar interpretation of a mere thirst for domination or control. Instead, it unveils itself as the very essence of life's striving, a primal force that propels existence toward its highest expressions of achievement, growth, and self-realization. Nietzsche introduces the will to power, not as a call to the battlegrounds of physical conquest, but as an invitation to the more subtle and profound arena of personal transcendence. It is as if he perceives each individual as an alchemist, endowed with the raw materials of potential and existence, tasked with the grand endeavor of transmuting these elements into the gold of their fullest selves. This alchemical process demands more than mere contentment with the status quo. It requires an active engagement with one's innermost drives, a kindling of the fires of ambition, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. The will to power is, in Nietzsche's vision, the wind that fills the sails of the human spirit, driving it not toward the safe harbors of mediocrity, but onto the high seas of personal achievement. It says to us that the mountains of possibility are there not merely to cast shadows upon the valleys of our current existence, but to be climbed, their peaks a testament to the exertion of our capabilities and the realization of our potential. Far from a mandate for the ruthless imposition of one's will upon others, the will to power emerges as a philosophical call to arms against the internal enemies of apathy and self-doubt. It rallies us to marshal the forces of our inner strengths, guiding them with the strategic vision of our deepest ambitions. This is the battlefield upon which Nietzsche urges us to wage our most consequential campaigns, for it is here, in the conquering of our limitations and the expansion of our personal frontiers, that we truly manifest the will to power. Nietzsche's will to power thus stands not as a testament to the power over others, but as a beacon of self-empowerment and personal transformation. It is an ode to the human capacity for self-overcoming, a hymn to the potential greatness that lies within each of us, waiting to be unleashed. In embracing this concept, Nietzsche invites us not just to ascend to the heights of our individual potential, but to redefine the very landscapes of our lives, sculpting them into works of art worthy of honor and greatness. In the vastness of Nietzsche's thought, the concept of the Übermensch stands as a towering peak, challenging humanity to ascend beyond the foothills of its current condition and reach for a more rarefied air of potential and purpose. The Übermensch, or Overman, is not presented as a distant summit to be conquered and then forgotten, but rather as an ever-evolving horizon, constantly retreating as we advance, urging us on in a perpetual quest for self-transcendence. Nietzsche's invocation of the Übermensch is less a call to discover a predefined final form of humane existence, and more an exhortation to embrace the journey of becoming itself. It is as if humanity finds itself in a great sea, with the Übermensch not as a fixed island destination, but as the guiding star under which we navigate, ever present, inspiring, but forever beyond our grasp. This metaphor encapsulates the essence of the Übermensch, a guiding light for continuous self-improvement and the redefinition of our potential. The Übermensch symbolizes the ultimate expression of Nietzsche's will to power, embodying the aspiration to harness one's intrinsic strengths and capacities in the service of creating a life that transcends the mediocrity imposed by societal norms and conventional morality. It challenges us to forge ourselves with the same deliberate intent and creativity a sculptor employs when transforming a shapeless block of marble into a work of art. The process is continuous, with each strike of the chisel an ongoing creation of one's masterpiece. Engaging with the idea of the Übermensch means recognizing that we are works in progress, forever incomplete and forever evolving. It means understanding that the pursuit of a greater version of oneself is not a linear journey with a clear endpoint. It is a spiral ascent, where each cycle brings new challenges, insights, and opportunities for growth. Like climbers ascending a mountain, with each step upward we expand our view, not only of the summit, but of the landscapes of possibility that unfold below us. The Übermensch is not a fixed archetype or an ultimate goal to be achieved, but a symbol of the dynamic and unending process of self-overcoming. It is Nietzsche's challenge to each individual to dream beyond the confines of their current existence, to question the values and beliefs that limit their potential. It is to embark on the grand adventure of shaping their life into a testament to the power of the human spirit to exceed itself. In this light, the Übermensch serves as a profound philosophical beacon, guiding us towards ever greater heights of creativity, autonomy, and self-realization. Nietzsche's exploration of master and slave morality is akin to a daring expedition into the dense human value systems, where he illuminates a path less trodden, marked by the celebration of life and individual prowess. In his philosophical vision, societies are often entangled in the underbrush of slave morality, a terrain characterized by the valorization of passivity, humility, and conformity. These are the values that grow in the shade, where the sunlight of ambition and strength does not reach. Nietzsche, however, calls us to emerge from this foliage and bask in the sunlight of master morality, where life is affirmed in its fullest expression, and individual strength and autonomy are not just recognized but revered. This journey from the shadow into the light is not a mere change of scenery, but a fundamental transformation in how we navigate the world. Nietzsche proposes that we discard the moral compass handed down to us, which points invariably towards the safety and predictability of the herd, and instead forge our own, calibrated to our unique strengths and aspirations. It's as if we've been given the task of painting the canvas of our lives using only the drab hues of duty and submission. Nietzsche hands us a palette of vibrant colors, encouraging us to create a masterpiece that celebrates autonomy, personal excellence, and the bold strokes of individual will. The rejection of slave morality in favor of master morality is, in Nietzsche's view, akin to breaking chains that bind our creative and life-affirming impulses. Slave morality acts as a dam, holding back the tumultuous waters of human potential and directing the flow of our energies into the narrow channels of conformity and mediocrity. Master morality, on the other hand, encourages us to demolish this dam and let the waters of our vitality and creativity flood the landscape of our existence, carving out canyons of achievement and lakes of self-realization in their wake. Nietzsche's critique is not an invitation to dominate others, but a call to assert our own will to power, to cultivate our virtues with strength, courage, and nobility of spirit. This cultivation requires us to be attentive, not to the prevailing winds of societal approval, but to the more subtle cues of our inner landscape, generating growth that is authentic and deeply rooted in our individual essence. Embracing the values that affirm life and individual strength over passivity and conformity is to embark on a quest of self-overcoming, where the dragons of doubt and the specters of societal expectation are vanquished by the sword of our own making. It is a journey that demands courage, for it involves not only the rejection of external moral codes that diminish our vitality, but also the audacious affirmation of our own capacity for greatness. In this light, Nietzsche's philosophy serves as a beacon, guiding us towards the realization of our fullest potential, illuminated by the fires of autonomy and personal excellence. Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, the love of one's fate, is the recognition of life's inherent complexity and unpredictability. It is as if he invites us to the myriad of experiences in our lives, seasoned with the full spectrum of human emotion. To love one's fate, according to Nietzschean, is not merely to live cautiously at the edges of comfort and familiarity, but to savor each experience, both the bitter and the sweet, as essential ingredients of our existence. Amor fati transcends passive acceptance. It is an audacious embrace of the totality of life. Nietzsche calls us not to be mere spectators of our lives, watching from a safe distance as the events unfold, but to be the composers of a symphony where every note contributes to the beauty of the whole. This active affirmation of life as Nietzsche envisages it is akin to setting sail on turbulent seas, not wishing for calmer waters, but delighting in the skillful navigation they demand. Amor fati is the wind in our sails, urging us forward with the knowledge that it is through the storm, not in spite of it, that we discover our strength and direction. Each wave that threatens to overturn us, each gust that tests our resolve, is an invitation to grow, to learn, and to become more adept sailors on the vast ocean of existence. To embody amor fati is to dance in the rain with abandon, understanding that the storm and the sunshine alike play their part in the rhythm of life. It is a declaration that we will not only endure the challenges that come our way, but will welcome them as partners in the dance, leading us to discover new steps and movements that enrich our being. In essence, Nietzsche's call to love our fate is a call to courageous optimism, a refusal to be daunted by the adversities that life presents. It is an encouragement to view every joy as a gift and every hardship as a lesson, crafting from our experiences a vision of resilience and joy that fits us perfectly. Amor fati is thus not a resignation to fate, but a passionate love affair with life itself, an unwavering commitment to embrace the fullness of our journey with all its twists and turns, recognizing in each a precious opportunity for growth and transformation. Nietzsche's concept of dynamic integration navigates the tempestuous seas between the Scylla and Charybdis of human nature, the chaotic and the structured. It's acknowledging that the essence of life's journey is not to avoid these forces, but to engage with them, harnessing their power to propel us forward. This principle suggests that we are akin to composers orchestrating a symphony, with the chaotic representing the passionate impulsives of our nature, and the structured embodying the disciplined. The masterpiece emerges from weaving them together in a dynamic interplay, crafting a composition that is greater than the sum of its parts. Dynamic integration is not about finding a comfortable equilibrium or a compromise between opposites. It is an active process of continual recalibration and harmonization. It invites us to be like surfers, riding the waves of our inner selves, poised at the crest between order and disorder. The skill lies not in seeking calm waters, but in relishing the ride, adapting our stance with every shift of the tide, every change of the wind. In this light, Nietzsche challenges us to embrace the whirlwind of our being, to dance in the eye of the storm with a foot in both worlds. The chaotic stirs creativity and ignites the flames of passion and innovation, while the structured shapes this raw energy into forms of lasting beauty and significance. This dynamic balance is the crucible in which the alloy of our true selves is forged, blending the raw ores of our being into a material stronger and more versatile than either could be alone. Thus, dynamic integration is an exhortation to live fully and fearlessly, to lean into the complexity of our nature with the knowledge that it is within this very complexity that our greatest potential lies. It is a call to action that encourages us not to shy away from the chaos within, but to engage with it, to understand it, and to use it as the fuel for our journey towards greater self-realization and fulfillment. Nietzsche's vision is one of vibrant equilibrium, a dance of forces that invites us to find our unique rhythm and to move to it with confidence and joy, creating a life that is not only balanced, but profoundly alive and infinitely creative. Diving into the depths of Nietzsche's philosophy is akin to setting sail on an epic voyage across uncharted waters, where each wave challenges the sailor to question the maps drawn by others and to navigate by their own stars. Nietzsche does not merely invite skepticism towards the well-trodden paths of conventional wisdom. He hands us the tools to carve our own through the dense forest of existence. His work acts as a compass pointing towards authentic self-realization, urging us to become not just participants in our lives, but the master architects of our destiny. Nietzsche's philosophy transcends a mere critique of the status quo. It is a call to arms for the soul, a challenge to embrace the tumultuous journey of self-creation with both hands. He proposes that we should not merely drift along the currents of societal norms, but row vigorously against them if need be, to discover our own harbors of meaning. His ideas serve as the wind in our sails, propelling us forward in a relentless quest for growth, understanding, and a life that resonates deeply with our innermost values and aspirations. Imagine standing at the unexplored territory of your potential. Nietzsche's philosophy is the fire that ignites the torch in your hand, casting light on paths both daunting and inviting. Each step away from the familiar into the unknown demands courage, but it is here, in the confrontation with doubt and conformity, that we find the treasure of our true selves. This journey is not a vigorous climb, requiring us to constantly scale the heights of our capabilities and to delve into the depths of our fears. In this light, engaging with Nietzsche is not a passive intellectual exercise, but an active engagement with the very fabric of our being. It is a challenge to sculpt our essence with the precision of a craftsman, to question the materials we've been given, and to seek out new elements that better suit the masterpiece we aim to create. By adopting Nietzsche's challenge, we commit to a life of exploration, where every question asked opens new doors, and every challenge faced molds us into stronger, more nuanced individuals. This is a journey marked by the thrill of discovery and the joy of creation, where the very act of questioning and building becomes a testament to our individuality and a celebration of our capacity for self-determination. Nietzsche's philosophy offers not just a roadmap, but a manifesto for those daring enough to chart their own course, to reject the comfort of the familiar, and to embrace the exhilarating uncertainty of forging a life that is unequivocally and beautifully their own.